I I thought long and hard when I got the little email and I was copied on from Greta. And I decided, as I was telling a couple people earlier, that I needed to quit yelling at the TV and I needed to do something. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is my opportunity to do something. I believe so much in the beauty of books and learning and the beauty of community working together and the beauty of diversity, for heaven's sakes. It's a wonderful thing that we have access to. So I think that our libraries give those things to us, and we need to treasure that, and we need to protect them. We need to make sure that they're sustained and that they continue on for us and for all of our grandkids and all of the community. The skill that authors give us when they write their works of fiction and nonfiction is just amazing, to give us the opportunity to learn and grow as a society, because that is how we grow. That's how we change, and change is and can be a very good thing to do. So that's really my major reason for doing this. And as I think about censorship, which is a word that just, it was like nails on a chalkboard when I heard, I went, what are we doing? What in the world are we doing here? And you think back about censorship and the damage that it's done in our cultures. Think about slavery. Slaves couldn't read. They couldn't have books. That's how big part of the control was for them. And then there was World War II, with all of the gatherings to burn all those books. Keeping people from thinking, keeping people from observing what's really going on is a really horrible strategy. But it's effective when it happens, when we allow it to happen. So not only is there that, but I was thinking also about really the censorship of information for women. Pardon me, but I'm one of them. And the censorship of that, the years that went by without us really knowing things about our bodies, about how things functioned, the openness of discussion about it. Remember, menopause wasn't even a word that was used. It was like, can't use that. How sad is this, right? To be so afraid of language. So those are examples from my mind about censorship and how wrong it is and has been. And it has always resulted in damage to our culture, to our society. Always it has. I think that to implement that awful House Bill 314, if the governor, if it becomes law, it's going to be a challenge. I'm up for it. I think that we'll have to be dealing with insurance companies. We'll have to be dealing with this additional advisory committee of some sort, which has an interesting composition. And it will be a challenge, but I'm up for it. And I think that my years of experience, I have about 30 years in administration and management and public policy, which is where I was before my husband became very ill. But I have those skills, and I can be very calm but direct, and I'm careful in researching what I'm going to say. So those are my reasons, those are my qualifications, and I would love to have you ask questions and chat back and forth. I think that would be most productive today.
Now, there were 10 books that they specifically, and I read the list, and now there's only 6. Was it changed?
No,
What has happened?
there were 6 that they said take off the shelf.
Okay.
Out of the 10.
Out of the 10.
And like the initial list that went to the Meridian Library, for example, of 50 some, well, there were half of them that weren't even in the library. So it's a national
Okay.
outing.
Can you
Physicians
explain
Association.
House Bill 314?
As I understand it, and I don't have any in-depth analysis as yet, but as I understand it, what it would do is there's sections of Idaho code that refer to material, to minors, and that's the thrust of it. Anything that is obscene.
Is this the
To
one where they
minors.
want to fine
Yes.
the library?
Yes, $2,500. Yes, which is where the insurance companies are going to come into the mix here, because they are the ones that provide insurance for the district library boards.
Do they define obscene in the legislation?
It's not, no, it's not super specific.
Right.
This Ada County Library, it's fascinating. I did not realize how it was structured before I got the email from Greta. Was it covers Hidden Springs, Avamore, goes up Hillsdale, Star, all the way over to Victory Library and Lake Hazel. It is, and then there's rural around that. It's a huge district. And near as I can tell, as I've asked the question several times, how did this come about? Is kind of, it was an afterthought. It was like the city libraries had been, they've been distinct areas, and then it was kind of what was left over. Yeah, so it's quite a mix. But neither really have library boards been an issue, up until now. Witness the fact a lot of people have no idea there's an election that would even have a library board position on it. So in all fairness to them, I don't mean to be denigrating their process, but that would be one of the things I would definitely want to do. I would want to hear from staff as far as what is their review of these materials that's come in and been looked at. What these are professional librarians. What's their viewpoint on these pieces of literature, and what kind of benefit do they have? Because they have benefit to people. There's one of the books that talks in detail about the incestuous situation that the girl was in. Well, that could be extremely helpful to some young person experiencing that. And I worked in child protection. It happens. And they need all the help they can get to get through that. So just as an example, that's a resource a really important resource for people.